Welcome to the Monday Night Live on the Wiseworks Studio channel.
That's
Everybody
right.
that's watching on the playback or in person right now. I don't think we have
Yeah,
any yet, but
we got
the
two really
playback.
awesome topics to talk about tonight on the live. So one, we're gonna be talking about Fale Adu, Joker 2.
Do it's
It's coming
coming.
out this week, and
I do.
we're gonna be looking a little bit at something the director had to say about, he's saying that this film's going to expose all of the questions, the truth
Yeah.
about the questions fans had from season 1.
Okay.
And we're also going to take a look at a little bit of a reaction to a kind of like teaser thing. One of the most recent stuff they put out. It's like a full video that's like 2 minutes long. That is, it's called "That's Life." Right? It's a
That's
little site
life.
edited together trailer kind of thing.
Um.
And yeah, so we're also going to be talking about more Chosen stuff.
Yes.
So
More Chosen
season
news.
5 wrapped. Yeah.
5 and 2 studios for the Chosen. So that's exciting.
Mhm.
I'm predicting I'm really excited for Fale Adu. I've been anticipating this for a while now because I
Mhm.
really like the first one. I feel like the first one took a toll on Joaquin Phoenix, and this one probably not so much because he had the crutch of leaning on Lady Gaga, who probably is going to be the more focused character, I think, in this one. We're gonna
You
look at
think?
Lady Gaga more than I think Arthur. I
Um,
think she's gonna be a big thing for this movie.
So her character is going to be named Lee in this
Lee.
film. So you got
Mm.
Arthur and you have Lee. Now,
Hmm.
yeah, I've watched a lot in preparation. I've watched a lot of like behind the scenes stuff that's come out, featurettes, things of that nature, and I'm kind of like, all right, what are we seeing here? Like what's the common theme that we're seeing in the promotional material? And when it comes down to it, it feels very chaotic. They're all
It
obviously the
always is.
constant narrative is kind of this theme of facing the music. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
um, and the idea of love uh, with Arthur's character. And so I'm very curious to kind of see the abstract nature they've painted this film into with the promotional material, what exactly it's going to become.
Yeah.
Now, with this little video, I want to play this little clip before I do. Let me do like a hard open real quick. So Joker 2's director Todd Phillips is saying that this film is going to expose kind of what fans had been questioning about the first movie. All right. So if you don't remember the things that fans were questioning, the things that fans had questions about is this all based in reality? Okay. Or is this in his head?
Where does this fit in the Batman universe?
Yeah, well, I don't know if that's the question
That's the
that
question
the
everybody
fans
was.
are. All right, let's take a look at this guy's real quick clip, and then we can discuss it.
As much as we're saying, oh, it's very different than the first movie, it is a direct sequel in that it picks up Arthur 2-3 years later from the events of the first movie. It answers a lot of people's questions, I think, that they had on the first film, which was, did that really happen? Was this all in his head? Was that in his head? Was this? And it answers those questions, and we find Arthur 2-3 years later having to face the music for the crimes that he committed, quite literally, and come to terms with, wrestle with reality versus fantasy in his own way.
Okay, so wrestling with reality and fantasy, but also he said this is going to answer a lot of fans' questions that they had around, is this reality or is this in his head, right? And he has to face the music for his crimes that he did quite literally. So that's kind of like a big theme that he's
Yes.
saying is, and the idea, I believe what they said, the face the music term, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Is why they kind of went with sort of a musical
Musical.
direction for
Makes
this
sense. Well, no, it doesn't make sense. Nothing makes sense in these
film.
movies, but we'll go with it. We'll go with it. Um,
I
It's
think
like
it's interesting. Do you think that when he says it's going to reveal the truth about what's reality, what's fantasy, do you think they're actually going to paint this in more of a brush of clarity? Or do you think it's still going to be very abstract?
I think it's going to be very abstract and very similar in the feel of the story beats as the first one. What I'm looking forward to that's different is probably the musical, the mu- mu- the music, and how are they going to paint this one different from the first one? Because I have a feeling it's going to be very similar somehow,
Okay.
and um, I think the story beats are going to be very similar. I don't want that. I
Well,
want it to be different. I want to
I've
see something
I've
different.
heard I've heard Todd Phillips say that they didn't want to do something like the first one. They said that Joaquin wouldn't have come back for a second movie if it didn't challenge him in new ways and create a new story from the first movie. And so I think it's not going to feel like the first one. We're going to see the same character. We're going
We'll
to see the
see this
same.
weekend. We'll see.
Yeah, we're
These.
gonna see this weekend. Now, let's do a quick reaction of this little teaser trailer thing they released. It's called "That's Life." Okay, so let's take a
Okay.
look at this real quick.
You should see it out there. They're all going crazy for you. They're saying you're a bad influence on me. Well, guess what?
That's life. Funny as it seems, some people get their kicks just stepping on a dream.
So, real quick, stuff like this, I have a pretty strong feeling that this is going to be not reality, right?
Oh, you think the colorful thing?
The performative nature of it. Now, there might be something to the cinematography that shows like, hey, the cinematography is revealing clues as to what's fake and what's reality. But it seems like Todd Phillips is saying that we're going to have a clearer picture. At least that's what I'm interpreting from his words.
I would agree. This is probably all the musical things are not going to be reality, but also on the other hand, how we see these musical numbers is going to be like, I think it's going to be very performative on stage, kind of
Mhm.
like almost like a play where
Mhm.
reality is reality. And then the first one we saw him doing his stand up, and that was not reality. Well,
Right.
it was kind of, but not really. And
Well, we
so
don't know. We don't. You're saying you're acting like you know, and the fans truly don't know,
I
and
do know.
that's what Todd Phillips is
Oh, I
saying
do.
that it's going to answer, right? All right, let's keep going.
You are no different than any of those people that underestimated me.
Also, Doug did this to yourself. It isn't you.
It isn't me. So you don't think this is me? Well, maybe you don't know who I really was.
I like to see that little bit of performance there, right?
Yeah, that's interesting. We'll see.
And why is he in a courtroom, right?
He's on trial for his crimes.
He's on trial for something, all right?
Arthur Fleck is a monster. And his depraved acts.
Whoa. Bro
Yeah.
just attacked a judge.
I've seen that clip.
Led to riots all over the country.
Everything's gonna work out. You're Joker.
Uh-oh, I'm in trouble.
We're gonna build a mountain.
All right.
Am I not mistaken by saying that "That's Life" is being sung by Lady Gaga?
actually wasn't listening that closely, but it wouldn't surprise me. She is a very famous singer, and so she could
It-
do it.
Just can you go back just a tiny bit, just to more to the end of the song, a little bit farther, right
Right
before,
here.
yeah, right.
Everything's gonna.
That's got to be her.
That's her. Yeah.
That's got to be it. That's Lady Gaga, I'm pretty sure. So a lot of cool stuff with this. And the one thing that I honestly, when I'm watching that, what I'm thinking about is, I mean, I go to cinematography, I go to like the style, right, that
Mhm.
it was filmed in, and just the look of it. So like colors are going to
Mhm.
play a big role in this film. At the same time, there is a vintage look to this whole
Yeah, a
thing.
70s look, like the first one.
Yeah, but it's like it's such a vintage look with the dynamic. There's it's kind of like a faded grain style where it's almost like you can tell it's sharp, but it doesn't have that digital sharpness. Does that make sense? It looks
They're making everything look very 70s grungy, 70s era look.
but in the images themselves, I'm talking about.
Well,
It
pull up
just
what you're trying to get at, because I feel like you're just leading us on here.
Well, I was when I was watching this, that's what I was noticing. I was noticing that this has a different cinematic feel to the first film, right? And I was looking at some stuff online, and I found this one article that intrigued me that basically said like the entire aesthetic of the second movie is from these lenses. It's these lenses called Master Built. And the RE65 is the camera. It's got like a huge sensor. It's a digital camera. And 65 stands for 65 millimeter. It's very close to like 70 millimeter. And you might know that from like film, IMAX, that kind of stuff, you know?
Yeah.
And so I was reading some about this lens, about what it does to images, right? To give a specific look. And these lenses were crafted specifically for projects like this. Like I went to their website. You can't buy their lenses. You have to inquire about them. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And so it's a little bit of a closed club. But I was just interested in this. Let me read some of this because it fascinated me. And tell me if it fascinates you as well. The entire Ultra 65 series, so that's the name of these lenses, maintains the Master Built character and look designed from the ground up and was originated for the RE65 camera sensors, which are, again, really big ones. The Ultra 65 series offers a refined image that draws the eye with enhanced three-dimensionality and perspective. The Ultra 65 series lens invokes the feeling of an image from the past, with a soft contrast leading to a gentle transition between sharp and soft elements. In addition to the advantage of generous image circle and coverage, the Ultra 65 series lenses acts as an excellent companion to the cinematic and soft flare series, adding the which I guess is another probably what is it called, Master Built lens, the soft flare or classic series, right? Adding the intricate focal length cinematographers seek out. The Master Built lens is designed and inspired directly by cinematographers' vision. Extensive testing and in-depth conversations have produced each singular lens series. Master Built employs exceptional optics and looks to the past for stylistic images and analog elements. That really stood out to me. Analog elements, right?
Yeah.
So
It's almost like I don't want to say ND filter, because ND is for like sunlight.
Mhm.
But it is almost like some sort of filter with these.
It's not so much a filter. It's like the way it was crafted all the way down to the f-stop. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
all of these lenses earlier in the article I was reading, all of these lenses goes all the way to 1.8. So you can have extremely shallow depth of field if you wanted to, right? But to craft a lens with every piece of glass, trying to have a good medium between soft edges, but also sharpness at the same time, as well as crafting the analogs to have kind of like a nice fall off of contrast. So, I mean, the lens is the eye to the sensor. So
Can we can you Google really quick, do some boopity boop research
okay.
and look up what cameras and lenses, or just what camera did they use for Maestro?
Okay.
Because I know everything was black and white in Maestro. I think no, there was a portion towards the end of the movie that wasn't black and white. There was some color stuff, but how Bradley Cooper made the film was very interesting. I feel like besides the things that I didn't like about the film that I don't really support, it's like that was one of the most beautiful shot, interesting angles, looks I've seen in a film in a long, long time. What
Okay,
camera did they use?
so they use the Panavision, a camera called Panavision Millennium XL2 35 millimeter. 35 millimeter means it is a film camera, so it was shot on film.
Okay, so he shot it on film.
Yeah.
This was the Joker's not shot on film.
No,
but
the
they
Joker
used-
shot.
So it's probably as close to film as you can get without shooting on film.
Well, again, not quite, because remember we talked about the Batman, right? Maybe I don't think I haven't talked to you recently about the man. I talked about it on
Yeah.
my live last week.
There's a lot with the Batman that came out last time. That it's been a while though.
But the Batman, the Matt Reeves film, what they did is they shot everything on the ARRI cameras, the digital cameras. They color graded, got the whole film done. And then what they did is they captured the entire digital film onto film negatives, right?
Okay.
They processed that film, made it into actual physical film, right? I don't know if it was 35 millimeter or 70 millimeter or something. I'm not sure which one, but they got it onto actual film, and then they rescanned it into digital, right? So all of the organic color mixtures, light flares that would interact differently with the chemical process and everything, that digital would give you a specific look. But what they did is they took that digital and basically ran it through an organic film processing process, and it became that more organic film look, right?
Do you
So
think
it was interesting, and that's I think as close as you can get to film digitally.
Do you think that a couple things? One
Yeah.
is, do you think they're doing all this because they've done this more recently for awards? Like they're like, oh, we're gonna do it on film too, so we'll win the award. Do you think these are actual the directors that are doing this are like actual nerds and they just like doing this kind of stuff? Do you think it's a tax break somehow, or like it's cheaper to do it this way, or it's why do you think they're doing this? Because it seems
Okay.
like more lately they're trying to be this, doing these creative things, and it's almost like it's cool, but yet it's cool for cool sake. It doesn't really
All right.
do much.
Well, no, that I would beg to differ on the cool for cool sake argument. It actually does change the look. Like if you just had, if you just had like a regular, I don't know, throw like a really well built lens that Hollywood uses on like shows and stuff on the ARRI, it's going to look so much different than what they had with these Ultra 65 lenses, right? And people who are cinematographers and photographers can see that. Now, I would say maybe the average audience is not thinking about this. But to answer your question, I think it's two things. I think one, cinematographers are bored. I think cinematographers are like, digital's too easy. I want something that is going to creatively stimulate this process and make it a unique method, right? At the same time, I think people are also excavating this new ground that we've reached in the digital landscape to say, what are the different processes we can take creatively, bringing in some of old filmmaking with new filmmaking, mix the two up and see what comes out. Because I think that's like, it's literally a creative endeavor to say what's going to come of this if we make this digital film into negatives, process it, and then recapture it back into digital. Like, what is it going to turn out to be? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And even taking lenses like this for this film, it's all still digital, but it's using lens and building a very specific lens in an attempt to create a look that most films do not have because they don't have this lens, right?
Yeah.
It's trying to create a uniqueness to it and trying to tell a story even in the creative methods of these motion captured images.
I was going back and watching Inception this week, and man, all Christopher Nolan stuff looks the same. It doesn't, even if it doesn't look the same, it looks the same. You could tell it's Christopher Nolan. It's got like this look to it that's dark,
Well,
but yet not too dark to where you can't make it out. And then yet, I would almost, if I was going to say a color, one color or two colors
like-
maybe is Christopher Nolan. It's like darkish blue or brown is his colors. Like those are his colors.
I don't know about brown. I definitely agree with blue.
Like that,
But yeah.
like the brown that's on Batman.
I would actually say the composition I see Christopher Nolan in, but I actually see more recently, it's not so much always Christopher Nolan, it's his DP, it's Hoyt van Hoytema. If you look at the films like Prestige, it looks a lot different than Inception or
No,
Tenet.
it looks the
Yeah.
same.
No, it
It
doesn't.
looks the same. It looks
No, it
the
doesn't.
same.
The Prestige
doesn't
doesn't look the same as those
It
other
doesn't
ones.
look exactly the same, but you could still tell it's Christopher Nolan. It has a Christopher Nolan flair to it that he can't get away from.
I'd say he's trying to stick with it. I wouldn't say he's trying to get away from it.
It's a Christopher Nolan thing.
But Chris Nolan shoots on 70 millimeter, true 70 millimeter IMAX film. And so that's something unique he's doing, which is fascinating to me as well.
Just like Christopher Nolan being a unique director, what is Dallas Jenkins doing these days? What is he?
So in the recent Chosen Con, there's some reporting out that Dallas Jenkins kind of reveals what we can expect from season 5 with the wrapping of production on season 5, and now they're going into post-production. There's a lot of buzz around this. There's a lot of buzz around the Chosen show. I did want to read really quickly an excerpt that was covered and reported on that Dallas said at Chosen Con if you didn't attend.
So it's a direct quote from Dallas.
Yeah. So I'm assuming he said this on stage, right?
Yes.
All right. It covers the most important and influential week in the history of the world. All right. So this is referring to season 5, Holy Week. And so we start to get in Jesus's head a little bit. We start to see what he's thinking and feeling as he approaches the cross. Next section, we start leaning into the fact that the disciples are confused. Why is Jesus dividing people here? Do we have a chance in Holy Week? 1 million Jews are together. Why aren't we unifying so that we can defeat the Romans? And Jesus is doing the opposite. So we really explore that. But Jesus also gets to kick a little butt this week too. So dissecting that, kicking butt, we're going to be referring to the temple when he tosses the tables at the temple.
Yes.
When he's talking about what's cool about this is going to be like unifying the Jews with over 1 million Jews all together in the same place during Holy Week to overthrow the Romans. We're going to be leaning into the Judas character a lot more because he's really wanting the conquering king Messiah. He doesn't really
Mhm.
want the sacrificial lamb Messiah, right? And so it's probably going to be motivated from Judas's point of view a lot,
Oh, yeah.
as to like, why are we dividing people? Why is he rebuking people in the temple, Jews in the temple? You know, why are we dividing our nation? And he's calling for repentance and calling, you know, the Pharisees vipers and stuff, you know,
Mhm.
when we should be unifying to overthrow the Romans. And I think that's going to be a really cool element with the disciples.
I hope Dallas is not. How do I say this?
I don't
Because
know.
we talk a lot of positive with the Chosen because it's a great show, and I love it, and I'll support it all day, even if Dallas does stuff that we disagree on
Mm.
creative choices. I'm still going to support it, but I hope Dallas doesn't just give us another season of what we've already seen. Because it seemed like last season was the disciples getting it was what was give me the quote that he gave us. It was like the disciples being restless as they are
Yeah, it's weary and heavy laden. Is that what you were talking about?
sure, but no. It was a season of the disciples already they're expecting something of Jesus, and Jesus is then yes, weary and heavy laden because he's getting frustrated with the disciples of
Mhm.
them not understanding his purpose there.
Yes. Yes.
And I hope this is not another season of the same thing on top. I know there's a lot in the Bible that he could do, like show us, you know, this, the Passover, the going to the temple and getting mad and destroying all the tables and stuff like that. He could show us. There's a lot more he could show us and be very impactful. But if he has the same core, you know, feel to that season, it's going to be very much, it's going to feel bland in a sense where I don't want it to feel bland of something that we've already seen and you get tired of that. I want to see, give us more, because this is where Dallas does have creative decisions. He can change things because it's about the chosen. It's about the disciples. And yes, it is actual events in the Bible, but he has liberties here because he said, "Oh, it's everything you see is not in the Bible. I'm doing things so you can understand the disciples, the chosen more. Not this isn't a Jesus story. This is a chosen story."
Mhm.
So I hope it's not a lot of the same things, and he takes some liberties to
Well,
make us feel good with this. And it's not like, oh, let's just get over this season so we can get to the next season, which is the crucifixion.
I don't think it's going to be that. I
Mhm.
think we're going to be dealing now. It's very possible you might feel that way. However, we have to cover characters like Judas. We have to develop his character in a big way to get to be where he's going to betray Jesus.
Mhm.
So like I heard this one thing this week, actually, funny enough, from the guys who create South Park on how to craft a good story. And
Yeah.
when you're telling a story from the Bible, I'm sure you'd run into this temptation. Bad storytelling is when you write an event for like a scene and then you say, then this happens, then this happens. You know what I mean? That's bad
Yeah.
storytelling. What needs to be told is tell a scene, therefore this happens, but this happens, therefore this, but this, therefore this, right? That's how you tell a story. You don't just say, and then this happens, and
Mhm.
then this happens. Like, that's bad storytelling.
You
So
don't-
when you're telling the stories from the Bible, specifically all the events that happened during this week in Jerusalem,
Mhm.
the Bible's written in a manner that almost feels like, and then this happens, and then this happens.
Yes, because it's a historical book.
It's a historical
like
book.
the emotional roller coaster. If you have
Yes.
all downs and all ups, and you don't have the down up, then
Yes.
it gets boring. I would definitely
Precisely.
agree.
And so
That's
I'm
where Dallas needs to take those creative liberties that he has, and he's not slandering the Bible or changing anything. It's just show us and give us some excitement that doesn't make us feel like We just have to get through this season to get to the next season.
Oh, I think we will. We're going to see Jesus experience real anger here. His quote also says we start to see what he's thinking and feeling as he approaches the cross. So there's going to be a bit of fear, because remember, in his prayer to God, he asks, could this cup be passed from me? So we know he's going to
you
be
think that's this
experiencing
season?
it's
It
more
actually-
shaky.
That's in the if I'm getting my
garden.
timeline right, the garden
Yes.
right before he gets arrested and then
Correct.
taken before Pontius Pilate and all that, and then he gets crucified. So that's
Correct.
That's literally the night before he gets crucified.
Literally.
Literally.
We've made our predictions. I'm of the opinion that he's going to get arrested. And that's how the season is going to end. That's what I think. I think he's going to get arrested. Season's going to end. It's possible they end the season at the Last Supper. And speaking of the Last Supper, I actually have something I want us to react to, if you don't mind.
Okay.
So they put out this little video. It's actually a few minutes long, that covering behind the scenes stuff for the final day shooting on The Chosen season 5. So I thought we'd watch
fun.
it, react to it some. So let's go ahead and check it out.
We have reached the final days of filming season 5. Come over here right now. Look at this. Look at this. This is the last day. And what they're doing right now is they're setting up for the final scene to be filmed.
Something symbolic about being in this small room, kind of trapped together and having this moment of what the Last Supper sequence looks like with how The Chosen is saying it.
Everybody was in their own little corners preparing to serve these characters in a very deep and justified way.
What we're doing right now is called block shooting. So we're actually doing 2 different episodes that we're bringing together and shooting together. And block shooting, what that means is that we shoot the wide shot, then we cut, the camera stays and doesn't move, and we shoot the next scene in that same spot. And we do that for every single setup.
Okay, good. Cut. Great.
It's been really cool, honestly. The way the set has been decorated, the atmosphere inside of the room.
It has been a very precious and very emotionally taxing process.
I don't know if I've just been awake for 100 million hours straight. I don't know.
Because you're in one place at one time.
We're trying to tackle some of the most iconic things that kind of everybody knows. It's in the cultural consciousness, the Last Supper.
I got to pause because I want to ask you. So in the past 2 seasons, I've kind of made the one critique I have about the Chosen show is some of these scenes are written very long. There was one scene in season 3 that was 15 minutes of a conversation. One scene of 2 ladies having a conversation that was 15 minutes long. This past season, there was a 12-minute scene of just 2 disciples washing their clothes, talking.
Do you think that Dallas, or do you think, and I don't know how they have it set up production-wise, does Dallas hand the footage off to an editor and an editor edits it and then he critiques it and he works with the editor? And what you think that's with the editor or with the writing, or where are we falling short here, you think?
I think we're falling short with Dallas wanting to communicate a little bit too much.
Probably.
And there's a lot of details he's trying to include that he really cares about that could just be fat that needs to be cut. So there is, in that one episode in season 4 with the 2 disciples having a conversation, washing their clothes, that's like a 12-minute scene. That scene should have been at most 6, like half of what it was. And I think when it comes to editing, I think Dallas is really involved. And so if he gave it to an editor, they'd probably cut. If he's in the room with them, they're probably not cutting much. So I think it's Dallas and his writing style. It lends itself well to telling a good story, but that also means there are certain scenes that are really long. So when I ask that question, how long do you think the Last Supper scene is going to be? Like
a whole episode?
A whole episode of them just sitting and eating and talking.
Yeah, I genuinely believe it probably will be. It'll not just be that, they'll be in tandem flashback scenes or flash scenes to something that's going on outside of the room that they're going to be doing the Lord's Supper. But I think it will probably be if not a whole episode.
Jesus and the
huge
disciples will
chunk.
be in that room the whole episode.
Yes,
okay?
and
They
then
might have
there'll
a
be
few cutaways.
Yeah, some cutaways, flashbacks, or something. But yeah,
Well, probably not flashbacks, but probably cutaways to other characters, like Pilot or someone. You know what I mean? Let's keep watching.
Joining the conversation now.
All right, we're good.
Dallas, do you know what sleep is?
I've heard about it.
Okay.
I've heard good things. If God so chooses, I will seek it sometime in the future. But for now, we're busy. In the last year and a half, I have done over 175 days of filming. So we have a few more hours left.
So a year and a half, 365 days in a year. So that's about 600 days. Okay. No, I'm overestimating.
Yeah.
That is 400, almost 500 days was a year and a half. Okay. And so if that's let's just say 500-ish days.
Yeah.
100 days. So that's 1/5 of all your time. All your days are being on a set filming.
And that's not probably including his Christmas project that he crammed in the middle of that for Lionsgate, because this story just got.
I think he's referring to that. I think
you
he's saying in the past year and a half, he's had 100-something, 150-something.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I mean, he is. Because he
Yeah,
filmed that
I
over the holiday season.
He filmed it over February and March this year.
Okay.
Then I'm going to not actually get a break because I have to go to New York to be editing season 5. I have to be writing season 6 with Ryan and Tyler.
Why do you think they edit this in New York? Because it's cool.
Maybe that's just where they can get
Their
some editors
at. Maybe
either LA, Atlanta, or New York. That's kind of the big hubs for entertainment. So
all right,
it's crazy.
Chosen has grown. And so we had the one soundstage, then had to do a second soundstage to be able to fit everything. But even now, had to move it all over here. Now, here's the thing. It's makeshift. It's not soundproof or anything. Hence, the upper room is in there.
Well, the stage doesn't have too much sound deadening material in it. So because of that, I have to have a good watch on what's going on. A lot of traffic today. I'm having to call it for them. Got jet traffic, corporate traffic, got small airplanes, just about everything we got. So it's a little bit of a tough day.
A Crocodile Dundee over here.
Boys.
Today on the call sheet, it says that this scene is a plate shot. So what is that?
When we have a plate, that means that at some point later, we're going to shoot something that we need to add a plate, meaning a scene, into the background. So in other words, we'll shoot over a blue screen, and then we'll need to put something into that blue screen. That becomes our plate.
What would the last day of filming be without something big happening in the middle of the day?
Right, like starting your day filming in the city, which is way down the road there. And then the second half of the day deciding, let's film in the soundstage. So you have to pack up the cameras, the lights, the equipment, all the gear to drive up that really skinny long road to the soundstage.
Find a spot and hold. Don't move.
This was originally Pilot's balcony, but they've swapped it out with Herod's balcony. I mean, what can't they do?
You killed the back.
this is cool. So this is behind the scenes. There's no video effects on this shot. So do you think that's artificial background?
I mean, it's got to be.
Or is it artificial, like there's a screen back there? Or is it artificial?
Yeah, there's probably
where, like a screen, like a big, like projector screen or something.
Yeah,
for
probably.
the background, for the fake background.
I am the tech talk of Galilee. Caiaphas comes to me for a little lunch, and we're discussing crazy energy that's happening in town and this man that's causing a ruckus, but I think he's just a silly magician. And it's a long scene. It's 6 pages. So it's like a one-act play, and it's phenomenal. It's one of the best pieces of writing I've ever had. I hear I'm back, so that's exciting. I'll be in the show another season, so look forward to that for sure.
Cut.
That's a cut.
These seasons don't get any easier, but we have gotten so much closer, and it's become a really well-oiled machine. So thank you for that, and I hope that you're back for 2 more seasons. But that is a wrap on season 5.
There's a lot of people.
I can't believe we're at the finish line.
There were so many like really intense and pivotal moments this season.
It's a shame to let him go, but that is also a season 5 picture wrap on Noah.
And they're really, really telling this story. And I just hope audiences, when they watch this season, I hope they realize how much care has gone into each shot that you see.
That is a season 5 picture wrap on our Philip Reza.
You heard him. That is a wrap on season 5.
Which is so bittersweet. It went by so incredibly fast.
So did you
and
see
it's
that?
bitter because it's
Jonathan Rumi hasn't been in this little video very much, but there he is in the background right
it
there.
went by so
See that?
Yeah.
incredibly fast. And it's bitter because it's
It's an interesting outfit he's wearing. It's like white. That's a new outfit we've seen for the Jesus character.
incredible.
See that?
Yeah.
It's a different outfit. We haven't seen him in that kind of outfit before. It looks like his napping gown.
Napping gown.
Incredibly fast. And it's bitter because it's over, but it's sweet because that means we're that much closer to season 5 and more sweetness is just on the horizon.
For example,
Is that a volume? Is that like a makeshift volume?
post-production stuff.
Look at that in the background. Is that like a projector volume instead of like an LED volume?
It's
Is
got to
that
be
what we were seeing?
It's got to be something, but no, not a volume, because volume is a whole screen. It's got to be something a lot cheaper than that, or even maybe it's as simple as it's just they have a picture. They're like, okay, Jerusalem, and we're gonna get a
On the
giant
horizon?
cutout of Jerusalem.
No. So it has to be video because in the distance you're gonna have like palm trees and stuff. You gotta have that blowing. I'm saying this is a backlit projector screen for what we paused on earlier. So this is outside windows, and it's like a wraparound projector backlit. So the projectors are behind it, casting it on the screen, and you could see it from the other side. So I think it's a backlit projector screen, and they're actually putting video up there. That's what I think it is. I don't think that's an LED wall, but it looks like they're attempting to do.
Yeah, I think it's just that picture is up. I think it's a still frame.
You think it's a still frame, like printed backdrop?
Because anything digital and moving that they're gonna have on screen, they're gonna do in post production.
No, this is a sound stage. They're gonna have, if this is a sound stage, this is like, we have the equipment in here to throw up anything on that screen we want. So we can use that for when we're filming stuff next to windows for background.
Play it more in
For example, post-production stuff.
The after show.
The Chosen Con is coming up.
There's so much coming. You know what you ought to do is like this video, comment on it, and hit that subscribe button so you stay up to date on everything that is coming, because just because season 5 is done filming doesn't mean it's over.
Okay, I think it's not the image they have on there. We can't tell if it's moving or not, but I think because this is a sound stage, I think they wanted to make sure that there is the ability to reuse this as many times as we need for any outside window background, which means they have to be able to throw any kind of image up on there.
Maybe. I guess we don't know.
I guess we don't know.
Dallas, and maybe
Think I could get a podcast with Dallas now that they're done with filming?
Probably not Dallas, but maybe one of the disciples.
I don't know. I've seen a couple YouTubers that don't have huge followings get an interview with Dallas.
Well, I mean, you can only reach out. Reach out to you. Who you need to reach out to is these two right here, because they're the social media people for The Chosen.
Wait, these people on this video?
Yes. I've seen them before from last season. The girl, she popped up last season, and he, I guess, is with this season, and they're the social media people for The Chosen. I'm almost positive.
You say things as a matter of fact, like you.
I'm almost positive. I know we're on live. But
you're over here saying they're the social media people, and I'm like, bro,
they're the ones that are running the social media for The Chosen. I'm almost positive about that.
It's possible. I wouldn't say it's matter of fact, but I'll try to. I'm gonna try. We'll go try while they're in post-production for season 5. Thanks so much for sticking with us on this live. I appreciate you all. Thanks for letting us know down in the comments what you guys are excited about for Joker Folie à Deux or for The Chosen season 5 now that they've finished wrapping. They wrapped filming and now they're going into post-production in New York. All right. Yeah, let us know. Appreciate your guys' time hanging out with us. And we'll see you next time. Tomorrow night we'll be live. I will be live. So check us out there. See you later.